This is Directors Talk Film.
I'm James Blanco with Directors Talk Film Podcast. Today, I have a guest. His name is Gregory Kasunich. Did I say that right? Awesome. And I met you in Florida at Sunscreen Film Festival, and I met you on the red carpet.
That's right.
And there were so many people, and it was really nice meeting you. The moment you said Texas, you hooked me. And I actually just uploaded that reel on socials, and that actually got a lot of traction, which was pretty neat.
That's great.
Your film is really getting out there, and that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about you as a writer director. Where are you based?
So I'm based in Los Angeles right now.
Oh, awesome. Okay. What part of LA?
I live in the Valley.
Oh, okay.
Which people
That's
rag
awesome.
on the Valley, but I love the Valley.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know, because it's not where all the happening stuff is going on in the city. It's not Hollywood or West Hollywood or Santa Monica.
Right.
But I love it. I live near an area called Toluca Lake, and it's like a small town inside of a giant city. It's right by Warner Brothers and Disney. And,
oh, nice.
People, like I said, if you Google the Valley, people will probably rag on it, but I like it.
That's funny. So I met you at the festival. Again, the whole purpose of the podcast: meet filmmakers, get to learn about you, your film, and I watched your film. And before I start, spoiler warnings for anybody that has not seen it. Do you mind if I share your film right now, like in the podcast? Do you care
That's
if I
fine,
get people
yeah.
to go to it?
No, people.
Okay,
It's
let
out
me
there. Watch it. I hope you do.
Okay, screen. We're gonna do. Let me do. Where is it? Let me pick this right one because I'm gonna probably mess this up. Screen, window. Yep, here we go. Okay. So this is your website, GregoryKasnick.com. This is the heart of Texas. This is your film, the details about your film. And one thing I noticed here that you're right. You said co-writer when I interviewed you, and it's you and Lauren Knoll, who is that your lead actress?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was just really curious. I noticed the name match, so that's even better. So if you haven't watched it, please come here and watch it. Definitely highly recommend this short. This short was very gripping. I immediately was pulled in. I loved the intro. So I please, everyone, go watch it, and enjoy it. Now, I also noticed on that
it's a
list.
short film, so if you don't like it, it's over quickly.
Well, I liked it. I thought it was really well made, and you said it was shot in Waco, which was
That's
pretty
right.
cool. It's a little
Yeah, Waco,
small town.
Uh-huh.
So let's start from the beginning. What I like to do is, in most all my interviews and my movie reviews, I have kind of a category order, and one of the things that I like to do is ask about the writing. So how did you get the writing with your partner? Like, how did this idea come about, making this short?
Yeah, sure. So the film was written a couple years before we actually made it, and it was written as a totally different setup. Like the core conflict is the same sort of journey for the characters the same. But instead of a singer-songwriter in Texas, it was an actor in Los Angeles, and instead of a radio audition, it was a film audition. And and I was writing it that way because I live in LA, and the city is made up of so many different people who come here for so many different reasons, and a lot of workers here are undocumented, but they're integral to the society. A lot of the people that work in LA may not be here officially, but they are contributing, and they are a big part of the economy and the food and everything that gets everything that is LA. And I was in my neighborhood one day, and I saw this car flying down the street, and it almost clipped this guy who was working on the lawn. And I have no idea what that guy's status was, if he was but I started to imagine, like, if let's say he wasn't documented, and he got injured, would he seek help? And so that was the kernel of the idea. With some, in our country, if somebody was injured in a life-threatening way, would they be too afraid to seek life-saving help? So
Yeah,
I was like, that's an interesting question. So I started to go down that rabbit hole and talk to people, and it turns out that, I got a bunch of different answers, but ultimately that, there were people who said, there's a lot of fear around
Hmm.
authority, going to the police, going to the hospital, all of those things. So that was the kernel of the idea. And then I met Lauren in Waco at the Waco Independent Film Festival. I saw her film. I loved it.
Cool.
We got to talking, and she goes, they have a screenplay competition. Do you have anything? And so I dug this up, and I said, we should just work on this together. Like, I think it'd be great if you were in it. I think it would be really fun to like rework this character around you. And instead of having it BLA, I think it's even more, you know, uh, effective to have it in Texas, closer to the border, and kind of
Hmm.
get away from the whole like LA of it all. And so we sat down and we kind of tore it down to the studs and rebuilt the film together. We submitted it to Waco. We ended up winning a grant,
That's awesome.
and that brought us back down there to shoot it.
That's awesome. So that competition is what got you together. You networked someone, you met them, and then that whole idea just blossomed.
Yeah. And so like
That's awesome.
when I talk to filmmakers, I'm always like, hey, if you have an idea, write it down. Even if it sits in a drawer
Hmm.
for a minute, like you never know, like you have the idea, right? It's a real thing. It's a script that you can actually like pull out. Two, submit your stuff, submit your scripts, go to film festivals. Even if you don't have something in the festival, go hang out, meet filmmakers, watch films, get inspired. You never know who you're going to meet. And then three, give away your toys. Don't be like so precious about this I have to be the writer. It can only be me. I thought
Do you
that it
see
was,
that a lot? Do you feel like that is a lot with people that they're like, I don't want to work, or like this is only mine?
I mean, I don't know from an observational standpoint how much I've seen of that, but I think that there's a tendency to be precious or be maybe resistant to certain types of collaboration. And it's hard too. Like writing is a very personal
Yeah.
thing, right? You know this. It has to feel like your voice. It has to be the story that you want to tell. But I think that, if you have those good fights with somebody, if you have a sounding board to bounce ideas off of,
Hmm.
it can really improve the process. And Lauren herself is a brilliant director, and she is a writer, and she's an actor. And so having her as part of the process was really, really valuable.
That's awesome. That's really neat. That I mean, mostly because I met you at a festival. I'm networking. I'm trying to grow, my podcast and my filmmaking journey. Right. I'm like, I want to interview directors because I like filmmaking. I want to do that, and then I just started pushing with that. And meeting you, meeting so many filmmakers there, and just seeing their films and just blown away. I 100% agree. Definitely go to festivals. Go everywhere. And I also met another screenwriter there too that I'm actually now he's working with me and my film partner on one of our projects we're shooting in July. So like I'm really stoked about that, like network, got to meet with someone, they liked my idea, let's work together, let's go create. And that's fantastic. So you made it, you got this grant. That's got to be an awesome win. What's your next step?
With this film,
Yeah, with this, sorry. Yeah,
yeah,
with this film.
yeah. So we got the grant, and we had 1 year to use it. And so I think like that's the other thing I will tell everyone is like having a deadline, having restrictions in any capacity, I think is like integral to creativity. And so knowing, okay, we only had so much money for a grant, we only had 1 year to use it. We kind of got our ducks in a row really quickly, and we didn't have time to really do the fundraising necessary. So this was another thing where I just sort of pulled out the credit card and I said, okay, like this is a moment that we have. The grant is only going to take us so far. We're going to have to close that gap, and I could spend 6 to 8 months, trying to uh, raise money, or I can just go try to make this movie. And I'm really glad that I
Hmm.
did. I got Lauren on board. We started casting. We found our Jesus. So if you watch the film,
Hmm.
he was actually based out of McAllen, Texas. Carlos, he's a phenomenal actor. We brought on, a cultural producer, Sol Bautista, who really helped us like understand the lived experience of what it's like to be an immigrant in this country, and sort of the things that they face and how they face them. And once we felt like we had the pieces, we brought some boots on the ground producers in Waco. So um, a guy named Andy and Jordan and Trey, they all sort of like help set all the pieces up. So again, like producing remotely is becoming more and more a thing. And so just
Interesting.
jumping on a bunch of Zooms and looking at location photos, everything remotely. Then me and my
Did you know
DP
them
flew.
beforehand?
Had I been to Waco?
Or no, did you know the producers beforehand?
Oh, did I know the producers? We met, I think no, we think we just sort of met through introductions and through networks, through the film festival. They really helped shepherd the project and make connections. And I think we did get a lot of like in-kind support from the city. People came out to support the police officer. The sergeant in the film is the actual sergeant of the Waco Police Department. And they helped us
Oh,
shut
that's
down
so
roads.
cool.
Yeah, the community really came out and really embraced like the independent filmmaking spirit of it all. And my DP and I, we went down for a scout, and we spent 2 or 3 days going through every location, kind of blocking everything because we knew we only had 2 days to shoot this movie. And
Oh.
so, yeah, we brought everybody back down a couple weeks later, shot the bulk of the film in 2 days, some pickups on like a third day. So kind of like a splinter skeleton half day, third day. And that was it. That was the movie.
Wow, 2-day shoot. I mean, the film is about, what, 15 minutes long?
Mm-hmm.
And really, there's only 2 locations. Actually, 3, I take it, right? 3.
Yeah. So there's
Inside
3
the diner,
locations, and
the
then
street, and then the recording studio.
Yeah, so that's how we structured it, just really trying to think of like efficiencies. We did do like a little pickup shoot here in California for that intro montage just to fill that out.
Oh, that was one of my questions I was going to ask.
Yeah, so
The montage was really interesting, the way you did that, like the whole childhood memory of, bringing that element in and then showcasing the character. I thought that was really unique. I liked that. What came about that?
so that was like a post-production decision. That wasn't in the script. We just tell people what the story is so that they can kind of follow along in the conversation. So the story follows this girl, young woman, Janie Mae Collins, who gets the opportunity to submit a song to this like singer-songwriter competition. The winner gets to go on tour with like a Luke Combs or like a, Brad Paisley.
Some celebrity.
Yeah. Our version of like a gigantic country western music star. And so she becomes a finalist, which means she has to go to the radio station, and there's going to be 3 people that perform their song live on air. And then the winner will be announced like right there. And then, they get to go on tour. So it's the day that they announce it. Her name gets called, and she's on her way to this station and ends up colliding with somebody who actually works with her at the restaurant, another worker. He's an undocumented guy, and he's kind of bleeding out and actively dying, and he's resisting any interference from the police. He's resisting any hospitalization or medical support out of fear of like deportation, because he's really there to raise money and support his family back home, because he's got a kid that has like medical needs. So the tension just kind of goes up from there, keeps getting ratcheted up. A cop shows up, and she kind of skirts him. And when she goes to try to get him some medical supplies, but while she's away from the car, he escapes, and she has no idea where he went. He ends up coming back. She ends up driving to the radio station and performing the song. And we sort of don't know the outcome of either of their fates. Does she win? Does she not? Does he get to safety? Does he not? We don't know.
That story alone was just, I just want to, commend you for the way the emotion felt, because I immediately felt the emotion, which was exactly what you're trying to go for, right? You're trying to really grip the audience member to feel what they're feeling. So I just want to commend you for the way you did it. It was a really good job. I really was impressed with this film.
Thank you. Yeah, we kind of the idea was, how do we tell like a full story, like a whole movie in 15 minutes that has a beginning, middle, and end, right? And so that was like the 3 locations that you brought up, right? So Act 1 is in this diner. Act 2 is on the road to the radio station, and Act 3 is the radio station. And so we really wanted to have movement, but we knew that we only had, 2 days to do this. We had limitations and budgetary limitations and all this stuff. So that's kind of how we structured it. And then when we got into the edit, I thought that it would be enough for people to go, oh yeah, she's ambitious. She wants to be a singer-songwriter. Like the movie opened in the diner with her, like with the announcement. And I was like, we need to know how long she's been at this. We need to feel that this has been something that she's wanted her whole life, because the life and death of it needs to feel like ingrained in her, that this is her one break, and she's tried and failed and tried and failed. And so we actually went to Lauren's mom and asked her to like dig through old VHS tapes. And so we found all of this stuff of like her singing and playing music as a kid and growing up. And we found like iPhone footage of Lauren. And we sort of mixed all that in with the sort of like her current state of affairs outside of the diner, which is like busking and writing and smoking and, trying and all that stuff. And so that's how we introduced it. And I think that really sets you up and makes the audience feel like, okay, we know who this character is. We know what the stakes are. We know what she wants. And then off we go.
And you figure that out in post after already having the film you thought ready. So you saw something missing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting. That's awesome.
it didn't feel like the stakes weren't high enough. And, I, even though it's a short film, I tell people all the time, I'm like, go do reshoots, go do pickups, go, find another way into so we built that whole montage with stock footage with my editor. Um, we, we kind of figured it out. We put music in, we downloaded all this stock footage and just was like, what's the vibe? What's the feel? And then once we kind of knew what it was and we put it in, we went, yeah, that's working. That's going to really help tell the story. We got rid of all of that. And then we went and found those VHS tapes and reshot the pieces that we needed with Lauren. So like you can even temp stuff in and figure it out before you go ahead and spend the time and money to do a pickup.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's so neat learning that. I love that. Those little things are awesome. Things you've done or learn in post, things that you didn't know about. That's fantastic. I mean, I've done that, and especially one of my films. I had to go do something different because I didn't have enough time to go back. Right, one of my actors left. I didn't have them, so I had to go fill in one of those pieces. Right. Yep, I've been there. So, one of the things I wanted to ask is, after you've made the film, you said it's 2 days, 3-day pickup, and you're finished with your film. One thing that at the festival that I thought was really interesting when I was part of the panels was learning about how to get your script produced, or going out there and networking. One of the big things that kind of came up in one of the panels, I don't know if you were in with one of them with me, was about film festivals, how expensive it is to get your work out there. And I was looking at your list on your site and the amount of festivals and accolades you have gone to. Just to name a few: Cannes Indie Shorts, what is it, or Smode Castle? Is that Smod?
Yeah, that's Kevin Smith. That filmmaker.
Yeah,
that's his festival.
And Woods Hole Film Festival, Hollywood Shorts Fest. I mean, I know all these festivals. I recognize all of these. And your film has gone to several film festivals. I mean, there's a big list and has won a lot. Could you, and I'm bouncing around, I apologize. Could you talk about what that's like going into all these festivals? Did you have that prepared or planned when you were getting ready? Or has this just been, let's go and see if we get in? Like, what's that whole marketing process like of your short?
Well, I think with short films, it's I always tell people the reward that you get for making a short is the ability to share it. You're not going to make money off of it, right? It's going to potentially be a calling card. The process of making it is extremely valuable in terms of learning how to make a film and getting better at storytelling and in that way. But the real joy and the real gift is being able to share it with an audience and sit there and talk about, what did you think about it? Did you like it? What worked for you? What didn't work? Are you inspired? Do you hate it? Like whatever. I love those conversations and then being inspired by other people's work, right? You get access to these film festivals and you get to see other people and you could be inspired by them and all the stuff that we talked about. So for me, it was really important that when this thing was done, that we tried to take it as far and wide as we could. Also, there's like a little bit of a social message, right? It's not just, it's a story that like hopefully starts a conversation about something bigger than the film itself and makes people think about, okay, what kind of society are we building? What do we value as people, and how do we view each other and all that stuff. So again, it was important to put it in front of people. So that's a long way of saying that, yes, we had always planned on doing a film fest run. And I think part of our budgeting and thinking about it was submitting to festivals. And, you can only do what you can do. I'm not suggesting that everybody should try to go to as many festivals as they possibly can. It costs time, it costs money, there's opportunity, you have to take off work, you have to travel, there's so much involved in it. But it is extremely rewarding if you can do it. And so I recommend that people budget for it or try to raise money for it. If at the end of the day you've made a movie, you can cut a trailer, which is what we did. You can show people the movie in private and have, fundraising screenings, like whatever you need to do to get the money to take it out there. And then the success is, getting into the festival is not up to you. You just can make the best movie you can. And we got rejected from as many festivals as we got into. And does that mean the film is bad? Or no? Does the fact that we got into these festivals mean that it's good? It's subjective. It's completely subjective. And the most important thing is, A, you've made a movie. B, it represents what you wanted to say. And 3, you do your best to get it in front of an audience.
Yep. I mean, with the amount that you have, that's truly amazing that you got to get to go to these festivals. If you were to actually go and, your film is doing really well, that's fantastic. I know you're getting ready to go to Cannes, so that's got to be a really rewarding feeling that your film is going, right? I mean, come on, that's got to be rewarding. I'd be freaking ecstatic if I was
Yeah.
going.
It's extremely yeah. I mean, like this is you get to be a part of the community. I think sometimes being in this, I'm just going to speak for myself. Being a writer or whatever it is that you do, it can be isolating. It can feel isolating. You can kind of feel like I'm doing this all alone, or I'm doing this only with a small group of people that are my friends and collaborators. But the truth is, you're part of a global community of artists and creators that love cinema, that love storytelling, that love every aspect of it, the writing and the music and everything that makes cinema cinema. And the thing that I realized with The Heart of Texas is, here's a little American story, that we shot in a couple of days, and it has taken me all over the world. I've gone all the way to Bulgaria, we've gone to Rome, and we've gone to London, and all over the United States, places that, I was so grateful to have visited, even though I never would have potentially thought to go there, like Dubuque, Iowa, and Beloit, Wisconsin, and, like
Yeah, that's definitely everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah. So I think, taking your film out, and again, like, even if we hadn't gotten in, I've gone to film festivals just to participate and say, hey, I made this movie. It didn't get in, but I really loved your film. I went to your block. It was incredible. If you want, I can
That's
share
smart.
I can share a
That's
screener with you.
smart.
Yeah.
That's what a really good way of networking, really just trying to network and grow who you are and find more people around you. That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
that's essentially what you did. That's
Yeah.
essentially what you did, how you made your film.
Like, I've never been to St. Pete's before.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
that was my first time there, and that film brought me there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that was my first time there. I had not been there. One of the directors that I interviewed told me to come there and introduced me to Tony. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how that happened. And it was all last minute too. So I was pretty happy that I got to go.
Yeah. And now
It was a wonderful festival.
Tony's going to be
And
in
he's going to be
France,
there.
and we've already texted
Yeah.
each other, and I hope I see him and we get to hang out there and like, again, continue to just kind of build this thing, because the career is long. Hopefully it's long, right? It's a long road,
Right.
and you'll meet a lot of people along the way, and show up for other people, and they'll show up for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice for independent filmmakers or people who are trying to grow and learn. And I find that a lot of the younger filmmakers are really hungry and trying to learn. And that's what I hope this does, right? It helps, hopefully it teaches these new young filmmakers how to do it. And I know they're struggling. They got so much at them. There's so much at their fingertips to do now versus 10, 20 years ago. There's so much more capable of creating, putting something out. But again, like the order of doing things, there's no right way of doing something. It's just a learning experience. Learning how to mess up, how to keep doing better. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I think the only
So
mistake is not making things. Like, every
yeah.
good thing that's happened in my career came from making something. I was working at DreamWorks Animation, not, as a back-end production supervisor there. And I went over a weekend, and there was a film festival. There was a film, a LA Film Festival challenge kind of thing. And you had, a couple months to make a movie. I made a little short. I submitted it. I won. I came back into DreamWorks after the weekend. They were like, "How was your weekend?" I was like, "Kind of cool. I won this film festival with this little movie I made." And they were like, "Let's watch it." So we all piled into the screening room and we watched it, and that led to some really great conversations and some mentorship and, some collaborators. And every time I've made something, whether, I thought I succeeded or I thought I failed, it's led to something else, a relationship, an experience. So I would encourage anybody, like, even if if you're hesitating for whatever reason, try to interrogate that hesitation and figure out if there's a way through it. Because, the first year I did that Los Angeles competition, I didn't win. I submitted a film, I got to go, my film didn't win, but I watched all the films that did win. I met the people, I met the programmers, I met the judges, and I came back next year and I won. And
Oh, that's cool.
I think that that's a
That's
big,
really cool.
that's a part of the, like, keep showing up. I did not win that
Hmm.
first year, and then that second year I did. So it's like, that's all I have to say about that. Just, if you're thinking of making something, try, even if you have limited resources or limited knowledge, just keep trying, keep making stuff.
That's awesome. That's great advice. You're inspiring me. Like I'm really looking forward to it. And that's what I'm grateful about. The festival I was just at is that the networking and the preparing and just wanting to create. I have a story that I want to tell, and I want to get people together and go make it. I'm really looking forward to that. Coming back to your film, one of the things I like to ask is you talked about you got the grant, you got ability to make it, you came down. My own past experiences, one of my friends, I've said this on another episode, my film partner, Daniel, the day I shot my last short, he told me, okay, just be prepared. And I go, prepared for what? He goes, that everything's going to go wrong and you have to fix it. And I go, huh. Hey, and I just went in with zero expectation. I had so many problems, but I came out on top, right? That experience. So could you talk about any experience that happened that brought you out on top, that really helped grow you, issues? I love hearing I say the bad things, but it's not really bad. It's just all the issues that happened that helped you get over that hump and get you to the finish line of your film.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. Like, prepare for everything to go wrong. You go in with the best laid plan. I think of filmmaking a lot like music, where, you're all, you all have the idea of what the song is supposed to be, and everybody comes with their instrument. And you get into the room and you start jamming, and the tempo changes and someone's string breaks and someone calls in sick because, they're hungover and they can't come to the jam session. Like,
Yeah.
the tape goes, I mean, there's every single possible thing that could go wrong, but you all kind of know the song, right? And I think the more prepared you are going into those experiences, the better you know your instrument, the better you know your part, the more, you've practiced, all of the things that make, it work, the better chance you have of coming out on the other side with a good song. But with a song, you don't stop, right? You keep jamming, you keep playing, you keep this may be a bad analogy, but that's just how I think
I
of it.
love the analogy. That is an awesome, I'm visualizing that analogy. That's great. I'm going to steal that next time.
Yeah. And so, like, you keep going, you keep jamming, you keep making it work, and you write the song as you make it. And so I'm trying to think of like very specific examples of things that went wrong. Well, just look. Okay, here's one. So, like, on our scout, we went down there and one of our producers borrowed his like uncle's car, which is our picture car. We wanted a Honda Civic because, civic duty.
I like that. That was good.
It's also an import, right? It's a foreign car. So, like, we just had,
Right.
these little, there's a bunch of stuff like that in the film, these like little wings. But, I said, let's use the picture car for the scout so we can actually take photos of it and see what it looks like on the different roads and stuff. And so we're driving around this car and we've put it in the ditch, to see what it looks like. And, a van comes by. They're like, "Are you okay? Do you guys need help?" And we're like, "No, we're fine. We're fine. Keep going." Like we're filmmakers. They're like, "Okay." This happens 3 or 4 times, and we're just about to wrap up, and this guy in this massive black pickup truck comes through, and there's a hitch on the back of his truck with like a bunch of gear on it. Like I don't know what it was, construction materials. He pulls up and he's like, "Do you guys need help?" We're like, "No, we're good." We wave him on, and as he pulls away, his hitch catches the bumper of our car and like smashes into it and rips it off and creates this big dent.
Oh.
And we had to pay for the repairs and all this stuff, but we're like, well, let's wait till after the shoot to repair it because it looks like she's accident prone. Now we have a car that's got a big dent in it.
Adds character to her.
Adds character. So
her
you're like,
car.
oh, she's probably backed into something at some point, and it's a subtle thing, but we were like, well, like roll with that, and that took money away from us. And we had to change our location from where we wanted to do it, which was a busier road, to a much quieter road. And that ended up being a blessing in disguise. We were able to close that quieter road off completely and have no traffic whatsoever. It had the big Waco water tower in the background. It had that barbed wire fence that we really liked. And there just happened to be these like skid marks. Did you notice that the skid marks on the road?
I did notice that.
Just there. We didn't make those. Those were just there. And so we're like, well, line the car up with the skid marks. Now it's got this big crunch in it. We've got the road locked off. Let's go. So it was like little things like that. Or like the fact that we were limited in time. It was like, okay, we can't do the 300 setups. So that's why there's those long takes. Now, I like long takes. I find them to be interesting. But it wasn't like I was trying to, be Paul Thomas Anderson or something. I was just like, we need to cover the scene as quickly as we possibly can. What's the most interesting way to keep the camera moving? And so like each scene has one gigantic long take. The first one is she's walking through the diner on the steady. The second is a big long handheld take where she picks him up and puts him in the car. And the third one as she's walking through the studio. So those limitations again gave us an opportunity to be creative.
That's awesome. That's those little things you learn. And again, I'm learning this from behind the scenes. So that's great after watching all those little nuggets. I love those little nuggets. Those are the best things that you're learning from your mind of things that you wanted to showcase. Hopefully people picked up on. I thought that's awesome. I mean, having that the street blocked off, that definitely has to be a blessing, because then you're able to focus on everything you need to do. And I've been there too on streets, just busy. That's awesome. What was the best rewarding experience about the film? And I know that's hard. I'd say one, but what was one of your favorite experiences about making this film? If you could pick one.
I
'Cause I know the journey's long.
I mean, it's a great question, because like there's been so many. It's rewarding at every process. Like it's rewarding when I sat down with Lauren and we're reworking the script and we have that aha moment. We're like, it's working. We're doing it. You know, like this is better.
Yep.
It's better than what I had. That's super exciting. And then coming down to Waco and just, I'll tell you what, here's the most rewarding. On the set, I like to do teaching sets whenever I can. I'm really into mentorship. I'm really into helping light another, what is the phrase? A candle sacrifices nothing to light another. So I'm huge into like, not gatekeeping, like sharing information, getting people on my set. So we worked with this college called Baylor University in Texas.
Yep.
In Waco,
and
we had a bunch of kids come on that were in the film program to like help PA, and they were all very, very green. They were fantastic, very enthusiastic. They helped out a lot. We loved having them, but they were just green. They didn't, at first they were all just kind of standing there looking around. I was like, get in there,
what do I do?
Grab a sandbag, let's go. And so we're shooting, for those 2.5 days, and at the end, one of the students came up to me and she hadn't said maybe more than 2 words the whole time, but we were having her do all these different things. We're like, you're going to be a stand-in now. Okay, you're in the movie now, or you're, like, go grab a light. Like she was doing everything that we could possibly have her do. At the end of the shoot, she walks up to me and she just looks up and she goes, "Those are the best days of my life."
Oh, that's a rewarding moment right there.
And I was like, that's it. Like, even if this movie sucks, like I gave some future filmmaker storyteller, some insight into the process that inspired them to then go ahead and potentially do it themselves. And that was the best part, or one of the best parts.
That is an awesome story. Man, now I want you as a mentor.
It's probably that, and then like getting our Oscar qualification. Like that was.
Talk about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so the film, we were part of a screening series in Santa Monica called Shorts by the Sea, and they select a handful of short films. They play them that, over the course of whatever the qualifying window is for the Oscar.
Yeah.
And so we were really, grateful to be accepted into that, and then we played, and so that qualified us for the Oscar, and then we went on our Oscar journey, which was really exciting, and I learned so much about what it means to, be a part of that community and tell that story, and it's very exciting. I always called it like Schrodinger's Oscar, where like when you're on the long list, you're still in consideration, and so you're all going for the same thing. And then of course once that short list hits, which we did not make the short list that year, then you're kind of like, you're done, and those people continue forward.
That's an amazing feeling though, that I got to this list, but I didn't get it, but I got to this list.
Incredible. We had a great PR team and learning how to do that. And we had, we got a lot, we landed on a bunch of lists that predicted that we would be shortlisted, and, just getting the film in front of people and having that experience was really rewarding. And then with my new film, I think I mentioned to you very briefly, right before I came to Sunscreen, less than a week before, we were in Dallas, and we that was our premiere, and we won the grand jury prize. Yeah. And we ended up getting Oscar quality there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I reached out to a filmmaker that I saw in the Dallas International Film Festival that's going to be on the podcast. And I reached out to them. And I was like, I don't know if you met Gregory, because he's going to be on the podcast. So I've been, hunting all these filmmakers, trying to bring them out. And I saw the Dallas International. That looks like a really nice festival. How was that?
It was great. It was great. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really
And
strong.
you won the grand jury prize?
Yeah, for best narrative short. So now we're on that journey again. And we're starting in May versus I think the last time we started in maybe September or October, like pretty late in the game.
Yeah. Wow. That's an awesome achievement of feeling. Man, you're just rolling with it. That's awesome. That's got to be an excitement feeling and stressful.
Yeah, and again, and we're still getting rejected from film festivals. So there you go.
Yep. Accepted,
Accepted.
rejected.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's you have these high highs and these low lows, and I think it's really important to just to remember the work is the work. It's not a reflection of who you are. Whether we win an Oscar or we don't, it doesn't matter. You just what's the next thing? Keep making things, keep sharing things.
Mhm.
That's what it's about. And so, yes, it's extremely exciting, and I'm really happy to. I mean, I believe in the message of the film. I try to make films that reflect how I see the world and reflect, kind of stories and messages that I want to put out there. And so, if nothing else, I hope that, more people get to see the film and it resonates and helps them.
That's fantastic. Yeah, no, with your journey and your background, I know I didn't get to do a whole lot about your background. So, how did you get into filmmaking?
So I started basically as like a writer and a photographer. So I've been writing ever since I was a little kid, little short stories and bad
Hmm.
poetry and all that stuff that kids write. But I've always been a writer and a reader. And so that's kind of how I started in the storytelling aspect. And then I went to a school in fifth grade that had a dark room, which was really unique. Like it wasn't like an art
For
school.
photography?
Yeah, it was just a public school. Yeah. And it happened to have a dark room.
Hmm.
And I remember just becoming enthralled with that and starting to really go down this path of becoming a photographer. And so I've always had those two paths. And when I got to high school, I got into the I was in the marching band and I was in concert band. And so now I have photography and I have music and I have writing. And then I started, doing little plays. I'm again terrible actor, but it was just fun to jump on stage and be in a musical or be in this
Hmm.
thing. And so now I've got acting and music and photography and writing. And once I discovered that you can put all those things together into a film, I was like, that's it. That's everything I love. It's everything. And
Hmm.
so I started pretty young making little, this is probably a lot of other people's stories, dad's VHS camera kind of running around shooting stuff.
Hmm.
And then when I was in high school, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went to an apprenticeship at Pittsburgh Filmmakers. While a couple days out of the week, instead of going to my regular classes, I would go to Pittsburgh Filmmakers and I would learn how to shoot 8 millimeter film and develop it and cut
That's
it on
cool.
a little guillotine, and splice it
Yep.
together
Yep.
and project it. And that was the most intoxicating thing in the world. My first film was completely out of focus and almost incoherent, but but it was I'm watching this film run through a projector and it was just so, so, so exciting. And so that started the journey off into, just continuing to pursue film.
That's awesome. It's a great story. It's a great journey that you're on. That's fantastic. And we've talked about your writing, the story itself. We talked about all the fun issues that happen in your film, and everything you're going through. And I love the message you're giving other people, young filmmakers, of how to make. And this has been fantastic. Is there anything else you would like to talk about on your film and your upcoming travels, or anything you want to discuss? Like
Sure.
next steps? Do you have any, what's your next steps?
Sure. Yeah. So the Heart of Texas, we played at Sunscreen, but it is available online. So if you do want to watch it, you can watch it on my website. The film may continue to play at festivals here and there, but it's out. The new film is called Meeting Your Maker. It's about a puppet going through an existential crisis, and we call it a feel good movie about a suicidal puppet. And that's starting to go
That's
on the
interesting.
yeah, that's starting to go on that's the one that won at Dallas. That's beginning its journey far and wide. And so if people want to follow along, you can, Instagram, my website, all that stuff. But yeah, I'll be around if you do it. I'm happy to connect with people. So if you are a filmmaker and you want to reach out and connect with me, if you're going to a film festival and you want to chat, if you have questions about, how to do this, or if you're stuck somewhere, I'm always here to, hopefully encourage people to continue making stuff.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. I'm already intrigued by your film. That's so. I think I've seen a few pictures. I think on social or something
Yeah,
about it.
where
And has that already been filmed, or is it in post? Like, what is that?
the puppet one, that's the
Yeah.
one that Dallas. So that
Oh,
premiered in
that's the one
Dallas.
that went in. Okay.
Yeah, so that was our premiere, and then that's what I'll be promoting at Cannes and the Cannes Indie Shorts, and then we'll be playing at Nantucket and a few other festivals that we can't quite announce yet, but we'll be playing on the East Coast a few times and back in LA a few times, and obviously be taking it hopefully far and wide.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for talking about The Heart of Texas. Again, I loved the film. Great message. Very well shot. All the little, nuggets you gave me, I really enjoyed. I'm going to watch it again, get a little bit more like things I might see. But thank you again for coming on. And I really appreciate it. Thank you, Gregory.
My pleasure. This was great. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
This is Directors Talk Film.